Welcome back into the studio, and thanks for joining me as we work our way through the alphabet of textures one letter at a time. And today we are on the letter U, and this is actually the first layout that I did. I did not do these pages in order. I just went with what I was feeling like tackling. And so the first thing we're going to do is going to get some white gesso laid down onto the layout. This might be a far-fetched you, but I don't know about you, but when my husband goes through undershirts, and this undershirt material is really awesome to do some fun stuff with. You can go up on my YouTube channel into history or into the list of videos, and you'll see a video. I believe I did it in March, maybe it was April. I'll link it right here. And I used some of this undershirt material for a journal spread, and so you can go and look at that. But these are the two that I have used. I'm going to show you kind of the difference between the two as we move forward, because the things you notice immediately is that this is a regular cap and this is a spray cap, and that makes a huge difference. But I get ahead of myself here. So what I usually do when my husband's undershirts are beyond his wearing, I usually cut these bands off and set them to the side. I usually cut the arms off and this bottom band, and then I go through and just make strips of cloth like this size. And then I simply use those. I set them on the side. Here's one that's I set it on the side, and then after I've put my brush into my water, I just get all the excess off. Sometimes I clean my top of my table with it, and it gets all grungy after a while. And sometimes those are fun to use. So it's real easy. You just make a basic cut, and then you can actually just rip the bands out. So it's real easy. It's like I hit a seam here, so sometimes you have to get beyond the seam. And then so as I'm looking at this cloth piece that I'm cutting up, I'm noticing the colors on it, and I'm really thinking that that's the direction I'm going to head in using that same color scheme that was already on there from previous projects. So I'm going in first with the Podge Stiffy, and you see that was the bottle that had the cap on it, regular cap, and that is because it is thicker. So I'm really saturating this piece with that Podge Stiffy and kind of shaping it the way I went and putting it to the side to dry. And then the second piece, I'm going in with the Beacon Stiffen stuff, and it's a spray bottle. It's a lot thinner, and I actually had to really work at getting this really coated with the Beacon. It took a while to get that saturated. And the first thing I noticed about the Beacon is it does have a smell to it, whereas the Podge Stiffy had absolutely no smell. So now those have been set up to dry. And now I'm going to switch up gears here and get the letter U, some gesso laid down on that. And I have set these aside to dry, and now I'm coming back to them. And the first thing I'm noticing is the Podge Stiffy is very stiff. And the stiffened stuff, although it's a larger piece, there are areas where I did not get it thicker or more saturated with the Beacon, and it is not as stiff. So I think coupled with the smell and the how much of the beacon that I had to use to get it stiff, I do prefer the Mod Podge. So then I'm getting these pieces laid down onto the surface of my page, and I'm using some of the Finnabair Heavy Body Gel, which is my favorite heavy body gel, as you probably already know, and getting those laid down.
Wish that I could stay in this moment forever, so I can hold you in my...
Now I'm going to go in with this Lyra water-soluble graphite stick in a 6B, as well as a Stabilo all pencil in black, and just doing, laying down some line, adding some water from my Wow Studio mister, and just getting some visual elements put down, some doodling.
Everything I can for you.
And I've really, when adding this green to the page, at first I'm going in with a brush and with a really watered down paint, more fluid, kind of getting that same feeling going as I've got with my line and with what you're seeing on the undershirt material. And then I'm going to come in and darken some of those areas up with more concentrated paint using my fingertips. I'm really trying to just lay that down, being really intuitive and trying to stay out of my head as much as possible. And for me, I find that that is easier when I'm physically touching the page. For some reason, having that connection really helps me stay in that intuitive space and out of my head and what should and all the shoulds and coulds and etc. So now I'm going to go in with my absolute favorite art sprays, which are the Marabou, and I am going in with the Caribbean. I'm actually going to go in with a couple different colors, and the reason why I think that the Marabou art sprays are the best is because, one, they're incredibly pigmented, and two, they're light fast. So exposure to the sun and elements is not going to change the color. And three, they don't move when they've been laid down and have dried. So all those things really work well, especially when I'm working on a piece that may be sold at some point in time. It's not part of my personal art that I'm keeping for myself. because if it's going to get sold, I want to make sure that it is in fact going to be light fast.
Grow up in the blink of an eye and move out and be on your own. But no matter what comes your way, I will stay right here beside you to catch you if you fall. And deep and abiding, liking for you is all I need. Until my heart gives in, I will do everything I can for you. Deep and
Now, whereas before I went in with the Stabilo all in black to make some lines, now I'm going in with the blue Stabilo all. And I'm really just kind of putting that on a scrap piece of paper, gonna get that really fluid and then come in with that color as well. Now, from the scrap paper that I was using, I am going to create my pocket. And so I have just cut down a shape that size that I want. This is going to be a tiny one.
I'll carry you on my shoulders as long as I'm able. Scare the monsters under your bed. Deep and abiding, liking for you is all I need. Until my heart gives in, I will do everything I can for you. You will grow up in the blink of an eye and move out and be on your own. But no matter what comes your way, I will stay right here beside you to catch you if you fall. And deep and abiding, liking for you is all I need. Until my heart gives in, I will do everything I can for you. Deep and abiding, liking for you is all I need. Until my heart gives in, I will do everything I can for you.
As always, down in the description box, I have a list of all the supplies used, as well as where you can find me on other social media or on the internet. And Also, please know that there are links listed with the supplies I've used. These are either to my Etsy store or to an affiliate link, and I only link to products that I have used, tested, or prefer to use. I may receive a small compensation, but there's never any additional cost to you. So using the links really helped me put supplies on my art table and keep my channel content coming to you. Please take the time to like this video if you do, and subscribe if you haven't.